Salutations, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bandit Bebop. Please address me as such. You may know me from my straight-to-DVD cooking tutorials, or from my name being on credits list that one time. But today, I would like to ask you one simple question. Do you like Kings for a Day? The classic event run by Steve Gunner brought god-tier musicians from around the interwebs through the power of memes. Gamers only want one thing, and it's fucking disgusting. The event was so big that it spawned a bunch of smaller events inspired by it, all of which are fantastic. But one sentiment has grown between these events. What if KFAD had more Total Drama Island? What if Heart of the Cards had more Amazing Race? What if Emperor for an Hour had more The Voice? What if Terror on Magic Lane had more Survivor? What if Tournamental had more Chopped? What if it was Chopped? I bet you're a tad confused, so let me explain. Okay. This is when you cut. The main gist of a KFAD style tournament is that it's made out of a bunch of characters from media. These can be movie characters, video game characters, hell, even real people. Or it can be absolute trash. The possibilities are endless. Then each character would be given what's known as a source list. This is basically a list of music themed around a character. I should probably give you an example. So let's talk about everyone's favorite character. That's right, Saitamatone. Being that he's a battle anime character with an automaton for a head, it makes sense that he would have music from shonen style anime, and music where the only instrument is an automaton. But automatons have been very popularized by YouTubers such as Jax Films, so we should also probably give them music from parody YouTubers. Then, a group of talented background members make remixes, mashups, covers, etc. of the song of those sources. Finally, those characters are placed on a bracket where people get to vote each round for which character's music they prefer. And if you're a character voter, you go to hell before you die. Now, here's where our little twist comes in. Instead of all of backroom making music for each character, the backroom would be split into a bunch of different groups, or teams. Each team would be in charge of making one character, which they can choose themselves, and they would need to make everything for that one character. Character art, music, lore stuff, I don't know, go crazy with it. Then, after a set period of time, the group work would be uploaded, and we would take all the ad revenue, and we would place each character on a bracket, and have the audience vote for which team they think did the best job. You can kind of think of it like a game jam, except you're put on a random team, and you're picking a character instead of a game. Oh, who am I kidding? It's a KFAD game jam. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Rowfu Productions' newest event, Bandit's terrific You can't call it that? Why not? His newest event, Behind the Throne. Each team in Behind the Throne will be made by me. And yes, in case it wasn't clear, I'm Bandit Blue Moon Lagoon Bebop. Please address me as such. And I will be hosting the event. Now, why isn't Elon Musk hosting? I will talk more about how the teams will be made later. But I'm telling you this now so that you can know that you will not be choosing your teams yourself. Who knows who you'll be paired with? Could be the people you spend a ton of time with, someone you swear you remember the name of, or maybe Ed Sheeran's in there somewhere, who knows? Please keep in mind that each person is an individual with individual likes and preferences. So just remember your team isn't you and the UX. If there's one thing that you should take away from this presentation, it's that Behind the Throne is meant to be a fun event where you can create stuff with equally passionate individuals from across God's green flat earth. It will be because of the decisions of the group that a fighter is chosen. Well, that and a few rules. It will be first come, first serve when it comes to character choices. So if someone else comes up with a character who has the same or similar sources, then, I don't know what to tell you. Remember Saitamatone? If you were to submit this character, and I said someone else already did something similar to the third source, then that's manageable. The character would still have the same identity if it didn't have that source. So you could replace it with, I don't know, with rate to brawling characters and or punching. If I were to say that someone has already done the first source, then Saitamatone would feel incomplete without shonen style anime. So it's worth just choosing a new character. And yes, since I am using Saitamatone as an example, you are not allowed to use him. And I swear to God, if I see even a single comment saying, "Oh, tell me it was my idea, this event is rigged," then I will like that comment, because it's funny, and that definitely won't get old. There will also be a character prompt, which means that there will be a rule which all characters must follow to be eligible. You won't know this rule until right before the event actually starts and you receive your team, so don't worry about it too much right now. But also don't forget, because it's really important. And yes, there will be a few ground rules to the choices, which I'm only saying to have it on record because it's stuff I trust you wouldn't do anyway. Here's a tip. Your character choice isn't the most important thing in the world. What's more important is having a character chosen quickly so you can get work done soon. Remember, you have a due date to submit your work. You should have a character chosen before the first day is over, maybe on the second day. But if it does even get that far, I would consider having a chat with your team on teamwork. You only have 3 weeks to get everything done, which doesn't seem like a lot, I get that. But think about this, there will only be 8 teams, max. And we might honestly need to cut that down to 4 if there's not enough people join, which is fairly likely. But in either case, there also won't be a loser bracket, and no bosses will sneak up to you at night and steal your juice box. What this means is, minimum, you need this. This isn't a whole lot. If there are 2 musicians on your team, that's basically a rip every week and a half. That's far from impossible. This may be a tad misleading, because I'll need some stuff before 3 weeks, namely the trailers. You will not be allowed to reveal your character of choice for 2 weeks, at which point all character trailers will be uploaded in one big direct, which will also include a bracket for the event. And since this is the only upload you get before the tourney starts for real, I recommend putting the character source list in it. Character art and stock icons would also be recommended for this date, but again, not required. And since it's the first time that you'll be able to see the other competitors, you will only have the last week to write the verses and victory quotes. But, you can do that in a week. I believe in you. Speaking of other teams, don't expect to be interacting with them too much. Duels and such won't be allowed. 1, because we want to test your team's skills, not other teams. 2, you only have the last week to potentially do team stuff. 3, we don't want to have a situation where a team is potentially punished because no other team wants to contribute with them. This no duel rule also spans to stuff like lore posts you may or may not make. You cannot have another team's cast in your posts, and very importantly, no propaganda. Please! This is not supposed to be a cutthroat event where you try to ruin the other teams, so don't put anyone else down. Except for me, feel free to make as much propaganda of me as you want. So, since we're talking about audience reaction, why don't we move on to viewer participation? Voting will be done in the same format that basically all tourneys do. Each round between fighters there will be a poll, and you may vote for which team you want to move on to the next round. What I really want to talk about though, is how to decide on who to vote for. As I mentioned before, in most tourneys the audience is meant to vote for which character sources they prefer. Actually, can we get a replay on that? You go to hell before you die. Fascinating. But for Behind the Throne, things will be played a tad differently. The winner of the event will win nothing. Anyone is free to do whatever they want after the event ends to celebrate the winner, but they could also do anything for any of the losers as well. So you can't vote for whichever character you want to receive the reward at the end, because there's no reward. Instead, you, as the audience, will be voting on which team you think made the better product. What I mean by that is voting on not just how much you appreciate the music made, but also the art, trailers, writing posts, etc. In fact, the only thing that you really shouldn't be voting for is what character was chosen and what sources do they get. Pog. And this brings us to an interesting decision for each voter. What do you find more important? Let's imagine that one team has a bunch of tracks that are really good, but the other team has a bunch of okay tracks and one absolutely godlike track that you keep listening to on repeat. Who should you vote for? Let's imagine that one team had a trailer that was just absolutely hilarious, but the other team had a stunningly beautiful piece of character art. Who should you vote for in that case? I don't know. That's up for you to decide on. It will be the audience's values which decide the winner. This tourney really is the will of the people. Now this may create a sentiment in teams that they need to be perfect, which isn't the case. Behind the Throne will be open for anyone of any skill level to join, but while on team, you may decide that you only want the best of the best to win. So you may choose to have the best artist on your team make the character art. That's reasonable, but don't roll out all the other artists. Alongside skill, people greatly value creativity and style. Let's imagine that you do decide to make some lore posts. Well, wouldn't it be really cool if you had an art piece made for each post? It would be fantastic and give you a leg up on voting. But I would say that you wouldn't need the highest quality art. It's all about using what you have in the most imaginative way possible. If you were to make something really unique that no one else even considered, for a lot of people, myself included, you would be a team worth voting for over a more technically proficient team. Now, personally, when it comes to whether music or art is more important, I know that I always vote. Everything will be released after the final day of production, and the order of rips, videos, and other stuff will be decided upon by you to be fulfilled by me. Bandit Sugar Time Swap Bebop, please address me as such. Now, there will be a small rule about how many tracks you can upload each round. You can read it here, but it really just means that you can't upload every track round one. And don't worry about making a track screen, as I'll be doing that. Over the next few days, I'll be uploading 2 hype tracks. You can get a feel for what the track screen will look like, and maybe get some inspiration for some new ideas. If you need me to do some small editing stuff for a unique idea you want to do for a track screen, I can, but come on, small stuff only. Now, I need to note most likely that even though this video is quite long, I've almost certainly forgotten to mention something important. In which case, please be patient with me, and I will give updates on the BTT official server, linked in the description. Now, of course, I need to mention that if you cause trouble, I may need to disqualify you, or maybe even your whole team from the event. I seriously doubt this will happen, but in case, here's some basic rules for your humanity. When it comes to these rules, I won't be uploading or releasing anything which breaks them, or anything that goes against what I talked about earlier. But don't be afraid to send me a message asking, "Hey, is this okay?" It may be a no, but it would be much better that you find out before you work on something than after you finish it. And with that, I think we can move on to talking about, did you fix the timing? Yeah? Now we can talk about how to... Please note, only join if you want to join. If this isn't your type of event, or you worry you'll be too busy, no worries. Hopefully watching the event and voting will also be a blast. But if you enjoy what you're hearing, listen up. And if you don't, close your ears. In the description of this video, or, wait a bit for the description to be updated if you're watching the premiere, you'll be able to find a link to a Google form made by moi. Let's go over the questions. First, give us whatever name you go by, and your pronouns if that's something important to you. Then, your Discord tag, so we can add you to your Discord server. You will need to join the official BTT server, links also in the description, and P.S. if you are currently backroom on the BTT Discord server, you will be removed if you are competing, for obvious reasons. Don't worry, your roles will be restored after the event ends, but it's worth mentioning. I forgot to mention this, but after I get your application, I'll be sending you a DM confirming all that you sent, just to make sure you didn't make a typo, and so I know for sure that I have a direct line of communication with you. Please note that you would only become an official competitor once I send you the confirmation and you give me the A-OK. You won't be in the event just by sending an application. I need the second step. Then is the jobs you would like to do on your team. I will do my best to sort you onto teams with rounded skills, so don't expect your teams to only be musicians. Well, if there's not enough people joining, then maybe expect that. There will be a max of 160 people allowed to join, or 20 people per team, which I'm only mentioning for legal purposes. I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna absolutely pog if we get even 5 people per team. We also have how often you're able to contribute. Try your best to answer this. I know it's really easy for real life events to occur and you can't contribute as much as you would have wanted, in which case, no worries, but try to answer it to the best of your abilities. I will also try my best to balance it so we don't have a team made up of only inactive Andys versus active, another name that starts with A, Aardvark. Then we have tourneys you've been a large member in. This may seem like a weird question, but in the off chance we do get a fair amount of people joining, I would like to set everyone up with at least one person that they know. That's the reason I specified active creator in the question. If 2 people are active creators for the same tourney, it means that they at least know each other well enough. So I'll try to set you 2 together, or you both with someone else you know. This is of least priority compared to the last few questions, so it may not be possible in every situation, but I'll try. My apology if it doesn't work out the best. Next up is the comments and suggestion box. I promise to read all the comments of all the competitors, and if you think of a comment later, then feel free to DM me. If you have a request, then you can also put them here, but I can't promise that I'll be able to go through with them. Like, if you ask, can I be teamed with X, then the answer is no. Because part of the fun is working with unexpected names, both new and old. And if you ask, can you put me on the team with the cool name? Then the answer is, hell yeah, brother. Up top, last, but certainly not least, I asked, is the lick still funny? Because I keep playing it, and I keep getting booed, and I'm not sure if it's a me thing or... Now, let's finally talk about the dates. And if your ears were closed for the previous section, you have my permission to open them up again. Wait, they could have just read the subtitles this whole time. Damn it! The form to join will stop accepting new submissions on
February 6th.
The video saying the teams and the character prompt will be on
February 13th.
And you will have 3 weeks, or until
March 7th.
To send me all of your work you made. The trailers will be due
February 28th.
And hopefully be uploaded by
March 2nd.
And no, you didn't just hear a bot sending it because I'm recording this way in advance before I know the dates myself. Though that is a big part of it. Don't worry about joining now if you're unsure if you want to or not. You have a few days to decide, so take your time. You don't get a special reward for joining early.
Swoodowoodo!
Hey, this is Bandit speaking, the real Bandit recording and editing the video, and I just wanted to break character for a moment and talk directly to you. I know I put a lot of memes and jokes in this video, and there may or may not be some extra lore stuff that makes it seem like I have ulterior motives, but I just want to drive home that this is meant to be a fun event and an excuse to make cool stuff and meet some new faces. And they keep bringing this up because I want to make sure that everyone understands there are no stakes or anything in this tourney. The winner wins nothing. If you leave the tourney after it starts because of real life stuff, that's totally cool, and it would be fine if people only have time to make one thing. This tourney isn't meant to be a point of stress or something to complain about, so please don't worry about stuff like team balance or character balance. If you win, you should be able to sit back and marvel at how you're able to beat the odds with perseverance. If you fail, then you should be able to sit back and laugh at how everything went wrong in the most comical way possible. If you're someone who tends to get upset about this stuff, even if you know there aren't any stakes, then there's no shame in not joining. In fact, I'm hosting the event because I knew I'd probably get really sad if I joined the event, and I knew my little heart couldn't take it. I care for you, and I love you, and I hope whether or not you decide to join, that you are able to at the very least find something enjoyable in it. Anyway, I think my 5 seconds of time. I should probably mention the elephant in the room. And by elephant, I am of course referring to the 60-foot tall rapping machine running on pure testosterone. The Gene Fusion Collab is coming, eventually. As it turns out, when you're telling everyone to go on break after a project, people start getting tired. And once you're tired, it's much harder to start up again. And many people move on to other projects in the meantime. And you can't help work on it because you made a blood pact with DA Zota saying that you work on the BHET trail instead of the Gene Fusion Collab, and I can't go against the blood. I can promise you that it will come out. Current estimates are shortly after this event ends, but we'd rather delay it than put out a subpart event. And hey, if you want to help us out, please, it's a Monster Team Monster Fusion collab. You don't have to, but you could. I'm just kidding. You can decide on stuff yourself. Unless. And that's all she wrote. Again, if you're still confused or unsure about something, feel free to send me a DM. Please make sure you join our Discord server so I can more easily talk to you if you're competing and update you on stuff I forgot to mention, which, I totally did. The math is not in my favor. Thank you to everyone who watched all the way through this. I hope you enjoyed at least one part of it, and I'll catch you Funkineers later. Just press the